But it seems like her skin color is the only thing that she feels comfortable boasting, because that's the thing that is the one up against someone who is fully black with dark skin. All of these braggings about your complexion to me is so corny, because you're bragging about having proximity to whiteness. And like, that is still pouring into white people. That's still uplifting whiteness. Like, that's still saying like, oh, whiteness is the prize and I should be the prize because I have proximity to that. It's giving low racial self-worth. So when Glorilla was talking about Young Thug, she was talking about how dark he was and how ugly he was. But I didn't hear any disses to Mariah the Scientist's appearances, right? She didn't call Mariah the Scientist ugly. And I think the reason she doesn't call her that is because Mariah the Scientist is also light-skinned.
Sometimes it don't make no sense. Does it really have to? There is nothing I can say.
Hi, welcome to Mayowa's World. Hi y'all, welcome to Mayowa's World. My name is Mayowa, and on my platform I talk about colorism, featureism, and texturism. Today we are going to be talking about Glorilla's obsession with light skin. So I actually want to make this video to be really quick. I want this video to be 10 minutes. I just decided to film really quickly because I heard the diss track. So this is going to be the quickest video I've made all year. Let's get into it. So recently Glorilla released a track against Young Thug because it came out that Young Thug, who is dating Mariah the Scientist, was talking ill about Glorilla and called her ugly.
The Glorilla,
Yeah.
why do people say she pretty? That be ugly as fuck.
You think she ugly?
You said it.
So in response, Glorilla wanted to make a diss track to Young Thug. But the unfortunate part about the diss track was it felt like majority of the diss track was her making fun of Young Thug for being dark skinned. And this led me to kind of decide to make a video because I've noticed that Glorilla is someone who talks so much about being a light-skinned woman. So in the diss track, Glorilla made so many disparaging comments around Young Thug's complexion. And I understand that's a diss track, but I just think of all the things that you could say about Young Thug. Why was his skin color something that was repeatedly brought up in the diss track? And a lot of people kind of feel like when it comes to fighting or anger, you're allowed to say whatever and do whatever. But I feel like that's problematic. And I think that if a white person was to get into an argument with a black person and they call them the N-word or anything about them being black, we would all understand that that person was always racist. We wouldn't be like, oh, that white person was just doing that because they were in the heat of the moment. No, that would be socially unacceptable. So why do we not expect the same thing within our own community? If you are angry at someone who hurt you and the first thing that your brain is thinking of is their complexion, I think that you've always thought that way. And one thing I thought was interesting about the diss track that she had against Young Thug was the fact that she likened him to different dark-skinned women, one of them being Whoopi Goldberg, to say that he's ugly like Whoopi Goldberg. And that is a conversation for another video, but the way that Whoopi Goldberg is constantly marketed like she's an ugly person is something that's so beyond me, because I think that Whoopi Goldberg is so beautiful. I think that she's always been very beautiful, but I think that people want us to think she's unattractive because she's dark-skinned and she's a woman. And I think that there's always been like this kind of mammification of her, or making her seem older than she is, to kind of hide the fact that she's always been a very, very stunning woman. But the fact that you want to say Young Thug is as ugly as Whoopi is just rude. So in the end, it's kind of like you're throwing a lot of shots at people who aren't him, trying to drag him down. There was also a lot of homophobia in the diss track. And I know y'all gonna say, oh, that's how it goes. Not to me. Like, I just think that there's so many things to make fun of Young Thug for. I'm talking about so many things. So why is it his color and him looking as ugly as dark-skinned women? But Glorilla has had so many lyrics where she talks about her skin color and has always rubbed me the wrong way, because I feel like bragging about being light skinned is bragging about having proximity to Eurocentric standards of beauty. Like, the reason that you're bragging about being light skinned is because being white is innately seen as a good thing. And maybe you're not seeing that, but that is what that means. Like, when you're like, oh, I'm light skinned, I'm a red bone, you are essentially boasting that you have proximity to whiteness. Glorilla also has a song called Bad B for ya, and she says, "Shawty something bad, and she red like my favorite color." So once again, just emphasizing that the kind of women who she thinks is pretty are light skinned. So other times when Glorilla has mentioned her skin complexion is in the song Stop Playing, where she says light skin, she toxic, talking about herself. And also she was featured on a song called Redbone with Lil Baby, yikes. The entire music video is racially ambiguous women, and she's rapping, and the lyrics say red bone, slim, thick, She only 22. When it comes to praising women, you praise light-skinned women, you praise red bones, you praise people who are on the lighter spectrum. But when it comes to men, you praise dark-skinned men. And if you know about colorism, you know that it is actually very common for light-skinned women to praise dark-skinned men and love dark-skinned men, but don't treat dark-skinned women well. And it's because you see dark-skinned men as masculine and you see light-skinned as feminine. And so, but what also happens with Glorilla is, as much as she talks about having proximity to whiteness by being light-skinned and how that's a positive thing, that's something that she feels very proud in, she also fetishizes dark-skinned men. And she makes comments about dark-skinned men's complexion that at times seems dehumanizing, but also at times sees fetishizing. Like, she has a song, TGIF, and on the lyrics it says, "I got a brown skin with dreads and a black with waves." And it's like, why is it that when the person was brown, you used a color to describe him, but when the person was dark skinned, you're going to call them black ass? Like, I just feel like that is dehumanizing. But I think there's like some kind of desire, because she also has a song where she talks about wanting to be with a dark skinned man, where she says, "I love me a trapping ass dark skinned country, got it out the mud, 6'1" old thug, talk real slick, big gun ass." And it's like, you can tell by these lyrics that she sees dark skin as masculine. And this is where the issue with colorism comes up. In one of her lyrics, she says, "Shawty something bad and she red my favorite color." And so what ends up happening in this dynamic is that you can often create a superiority complex where when you are the light-skinned person, you believe that you are the epicenter of beauty. And I think that Glorilla feels insecure about the fact that she has very stereotypically black features and light skin, and she has kinky hair. Glorilla has made very disparaging comments about having kinky hair. I'll put the quote up here.
4-5 months of keeping my braids in, because I told y'all I got the carpet hair. I'm finna get a perm because I gotta get my hair braided.
But it's like, you can tell she does not like her hair, her natural hair texture. You can tell she feels uncomfortability around her black features, right? Her black hair, her black features, and to the fact where she has a nose job, right? And people were talking about how they didn't like the nose job, but you can tell that she wanted to have a more slender nose because her nose is a very typical black feature. But it seems like her skin color is the only thing that she feels comfortable boasting, because that's the thing that is the one up against someone who is fully black with dark skin. So when Glorilla was talking about Young Thug, she was talking about how dark he was and how ugly he was. But I didn't hear any disses to Mariah the Scientist's appearances, right? She didn't call Mariah the Scientist ugly. And I think the reason she doesn't call her that is because Mariah the Scientist is also light-skinned. And this is the part that gets me about colorism, is that when it comes to making fun of dark-skinned people, you can call them a roach, you can call them burnt, you can call them dark, you can call them black, like in a derogatory way. But then when it comes to Mariah the Scientist, she is called a sexy Winnie Pooh looking B-word. Then she's called Velma from Scooby-Doo. It's like, this is what I mean, that it can't be compared, because he was called a roach, like he was called burnt, and she's called sexy Winnie the Pooh. Like, if someone called me sexy Winnie the Pooh, like, I feel like I'm winning. That's not really an insult towards how someone looks. But people know how to make insults towards dark-skinned people. Like, that is the acceptable kind of insult. So Mariah the Scientist is gonna get attacked for essentially just dating Young Thug and being a pick-me. But it's like, when you wanted to diss JT, you called JT ugly. So it's just like, to me, these are all signs that you really think that you're low-key better or more attractive or more desirable because of the complexion that you have. And I originally really liked Glorilla, especially when she came out in that group of girls rapping. And I feel like that group that she was in, a lot of the girls were dark-skinned, but Glorilla was the kind of breakout star, which I'm sure we can all understand that colorism played a part for that. But I really think that it kind of got to her head. And she started to just kind of be like, well, I'm the chosen one. Like, my color is so pretty. Like, I look so good. And I feel like sometimes being colorist, I think, ends up making you narcissistic. And when I say narcissistic, I don't mean in the like medical diagnosis kind of way, but in the social way where you believe that everyone is obsessed with you, or that you are the prize, or that you are the chosen one. And I think what ends up happening is that when you see a dark-skinned person get attention or praise or get poured into, it like does a glitching in your head, because you can't fathom that a dark-skinned person would be picked simply because you're light-skinned and you feel like that should be the biggest thing that everyone is seeing. And I saw that Glorilla was like making fun of Mariah the Scientist as well for being man-centered. But Glorilla is also man-centered because Glorilla is the same person who was playing a song of Tory Lanez after she did a collab with Megan. And I just feel like anyone who does that is also man-centered. And Megan Thee Stallion, unfortunately, has been someone who has also boasted about her skin complexion and being a brown skin. Being a red bone, and like all of these braggings about your complexion to me is so corny because you're bragging about having proximity to whiteness, and like that is still pouring into white people. That's still uplifting whiteness. Like that's still saying like, oh, whiteness is the prize and I should be the prize because I have proximity to that. It's giving low racial self-worth. And I just noticed that a lot of rap girlies have been talking more and more about their skin complexion, which I really felt like was a recession indicator, because it's like you have to find, everyone is grappling for whatever sense of privilege that they can use and weaponize against somebody else. And it's just, the whole thing is just pathetic to me. So let me know what y'all think about this. Let me know if you've noticed this obsession with the skin color and obsession with boasting about your skin color. And yes, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.